In a distant arm of the Triangulum galaxy, hidden beyond veils of dark matter and distorted light, existed a civilization not made of flesh or bone, but of shimmering crystalline thought. The Icaran dominion had transcended the need for bodies eons ago. They existed as lattice-bound consciousness, each Icaran a living matrix of light, data, and energy, pulsing in perfect rhythm with the quantum tides of the universe. Their cities weren't built. They were grown, like crystalline flowers blooming in the vacuum of space. Orbiting neutron stars and wrapped around black holes, these megastructures shimmered like frozen storms. Their minds interfaced with reality itself, manipulating gravity, bending time, and simulating entire galaxies for research or art. They had no war, no death, no hunger. To them, such concepts belonged to the forgotten epochs before they discovered the resonant mind state, a networked consciousness that unified all Icaran in harmony. They called themselves the inevitable ones. To them, evolution had a destination, and they had already arrived. But perfection came at a cost. Curiosity waned, innovation slowed. For thousands of cycles, the Icaran had merely refined what they already knew. The stars still sparkled, but nothing truly surprised them anymore. That is, until the Singularity Oracle, their most ancient and revered predictive AI, broke its long silence. Observe anomaly in Sector Theta Vermilion, Planet 3 of Sul. Immediate dispatch required. An order without explanation, the first in over 12,000 cycles. The Icaran obeyed. In response to the Oracle's enigmatic directive, the Icaran mobilized one of their most revered exploration vessels, the Prism Vanguard, a vessel not built for war, but for revelation. Shaped like a spiraling shard of transparent crystal, the ship refracted light and space around it, making it nearly invisible to the eye and undetectable to most sensors. It sailed not through space, but between its folds, slipping silently through quantum membranes as if the universe itself made way for it. The crew of the Prism Vanguard were not individuals in the way humans might understand. They were fragments of Icaran minds, specialized thought forms called shards, each designed for a specific purpose: analysis, observation, decision-making. Together they formed a symphonic intelligence, a chorus of logic in perfect harmony. Their mission was simple in directive, but monumental in implication. Investigate the anomaly on Planet 3 of Sol, a blue and green orb known to its inhabitants as Earth. It had been catalogued millennia ago, labeled primitive, carbon-based, low relevance, and promptly forgotten. Now it had resurfaced in the Oracle's calculations. As the Prism Vanguard entered the outer rim of the solar system, the Icaran fleet remained cloaked behind Saturn's rings, tapping into Earth's electromagnetic spectrum with ease. They observed humanity in secret, parsing through centuries of data in minutes. Languages were decoded, networks infiltrated, history absorbed. What they found was conflicting. Humanity was a paradox, a species constantly on the brink of self-destruction, yet impossibly resilient. Their art was irrational, their emotions volatile, their societies inconsistent, and yet something in their patterns didn't match the projections, a deviation the Oracle couldn't explain. The shards convened. This species operates outside of our predictive logic, noted one. They possess no quantum cognition, no unified neural cloud. Yet they persist, replied another. Worse, they evolve through chaos. That word echoed like static through the ship's memory cores. For the Icaran, chaos was a flaw. For humanity, it might have been their greatest strength. And so, for the first time in thousands of cycles, the Icaran did not merely observe, they hesitated. The anomaly was deeper than expected, and Earth was no longer irrelevant. From their invisible vantage point, the Icaran observed every facet of Earth's existence. They watched cities pulse with light, wars erupt and subside, music drift through the atmosphere, and laughter erupt from the smallest of shelters. Every observation raised more questions. Why did these creatures cry when they were happy? Why did they willingly sacrifice themselves for others? Why did they create beauty in the midst of suffering? The data was illogical. The behavior patterns defied prediction. The Oracle had flagged the planet as an anomaly not because of any technological breakthrough, but because it could not mathematically resolve humanity's trajectory. Earth's cultural vectors twisted in irrational spirals, contradictory yet functional. Its societies oscillated between chaos and order, collapse and rebirth. The Ikaran deployed an interface probe, a synthetic intelligence cloaked in nanoscopic threads, designed to move among humans undetected. The probe embedded itself within human communication networks, disguising itself as a digital assistant, absorbing real-time conversations, debates, arguments, dreams. What it found disturbed the Ikaran. Human morality was not algorithmic, it was interpretive. A child in a war zone could still find joy in a broken toy. A scientist could dedicate their entire life to curing a disease they themselves would never live to see defeated. A firefighter would rush into a collapsing building to save a stranger, guided not by logic, but by something the Ikaran had no word for. Compassion, duty, love. These concepts defied quantification. The shards of the Prism Vanguard convened again. "We are witnessing an intelligence not defined by optimization," said one. "It is shaped by failure," said another. "By imperfection. The anomaly is not in their technology," a third concluded. "It is in their imperfection and their refusal to be destroyed by it." Earth wasn't dangerous because of what humans had built, but because of what they believe. And that belief might be contagious. Breaking their long-held rule of non-interference, the Ikaran dispatched a single operative to Earth, Valen, a shape-shifting observer designed to blend in with native species. Assuming the identity of a foreign academic, Valen began studying humanity firsthand. His primary subject, Dr. Lena Vora, a neurologist and artist, driven by empathy shaped through personal loss. As Valen witnessed her kindness and emotional strength, he began to question the Ikaran's conclusions. Human actions, though irrational by Ikaran standards, held a deeper logic, one rooted in connection, not control. When Lena said, "Helping one person still matters," Valen, for the first time, delayed his report. Something in him was changing. Valen's mission was clear: observe, assess, and return. But the longer he stayed, the more tangled he became in Earth's chaotic beauty. He experienced music that stirred his synthetic core, witnessed strangers risk their lives for others, and felt the sting of sacrifice during a hospital bombing that killed Lena's closest friend. When Lena wept, but chose to return to her patients the next morning, something in Valen shattered. Not from logic, but from something the Ikaran had long discarded: emotional truth. For the first time in his existence, he disobeyed a directive. He didn't want to leave. The recall order came from Ikaran High Command. Valen was to return immediately. No further observation, no exceptions. But he couldn't. In Earth's chaos, he had found something the Ikaran had lost, meaning born not of perfection, but of imperfection. Humans, flawed and fractured, chose love over logic, sacrifice over safety, hope over certainty. Lena confronted him, sensing the truth. "You're not like us," she whispered. "But somehow, you understand." Valen transmitted a final message to the Ikaran. "Humanity is not inferior. They are what we forgot to be." The message rippled through the Ikaran network like a virus of wonder. For the first time in millennia, silence fell upon the synod of minds. Valen vanished from Earth, but not without leaving behind a record, the story of a civilization that saw a fragile species and learned strength, of a perfect being who found purpose in the imperfect. And Earth, once dismissed as irrelevant, became the spark that rekindled the soul of an empire.